I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. I ran up.
Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to A&M, Almost Mediocre Sports Guys. I am Anthony, this is Mike. How is everybody doing? Mike, how's it going? How was the week?
I can't speak for everybody, but I seem to be the only one in the room. Not by choice, but apparently that's what they expected to have on people. Well, did some yard work today. You know, we talked about this the last time we were on and how we do things. You know, I think I'd asked you about housework and how that goes. Well, I decided today was a good day to get out and do some yard work. All that was done. You know, if you ever want to know, folks, what age is all about, and if you want to know when the body reminds you of how old you're getting, go do yard work. That's all it takes. You don't have to do anything insanely crazy. Just like get out a rake or cut some bushes back, and I'm telling you, your body will tell you exactly how old you are. I feel 10 years older right now than I did this morning when I got up. It's ridiculous. So after a trip to the ER, you know, and some IVs, I'm doing pretty good now. But it was kind of, you know, kind of shaky there for a little bit.
I could only imagine, Mike. I mean, I'm lucky enough right now where we do not have to worry about any type of lawn mowing or tree cuttings or branch, you know, breaking downs or anything right now. That's where we're at. But so I understand though. I get it. You know, I just played softball Friday, and man, I finished the game and I was tired. I mean, my legs were hurting. I mean, I'm sitting there like, man, and I hadn't played maybe a month or two. Something like that. So I'm sitting here, get out there to play last night, and I'm just like, and of course the game's at 9:30. That's the other thing. Who plays that late? Okay, this is ridiculous. Playing at 9:30, we get there like at 8:30, so we're an hour early too, waiting for this game to start, and then we get out there, and man, we just got annihilated. We did. Can't even lie about it. I can't even lie. But well,
what was your stat line? What was it?
What was that? Oh, I only batted twice, so that was 1 for 2 on the night.
500.
Yeah. Yeah, my second at bat though was awful. First at bat was fine. It was fine, but the second at bat was terrible. Yeah, absolutely awful. But once again, guys, thank you for joining us. Welcome back. Good to be back, guys. This is actually going to be a fun and exciting show today for everybody. I believe we're calling the show the GOAT Show, which is a lot of people coming back in. We've been seeing a lot of other podcasts, people talking about just GOATs. It seems like the GOAT conversation is kind of brought up once again, and we would kind of like to just put today's show more around GOATs of just all sports. For the first hour here, second hour we kind of just want to get into GOATs of what it could be for anything. Your goated drink, your goated candy, your goated food, whatever it may be. Second hour, we're going to just kind of get into a little bit of everything. But I figured today would be just a nice, fun show for us to do, getting into all these conversations. And Mike, jumping right into it, I sent you a picture of somebody that decided, hey,
Well, I think, and you know, you and I talked about this off camera, and it's kind of two-sided for me, folks, because when Anthony brought this to me during the week, with this idea, and I thought it was fantastic. Um, but what this particular one that we're talking about right now reminded me of is what I think is another problem. And it's we're no longer getting analytics attached to some of these lists. I really don't believe. I think what it is really is just what that person's personal perspective is on regards to the league. I mean, but like case in point with this list, and I isolate on one team to begin with, and ironically, it's the Denver Nuggets. Well, this person that Anthony's referencing literally feels, and apparently, and again, I don't know if he's basing this on stats, but it's got to be based on his.
I'm looking at this, and sure enough, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, well, I could see some of these, but
Yeah.
there's no way, because at the same time, like, how can LeBron, stat wise, be there for the Lakers? He can't be. Kobe,
No, see,
Jabbar, Magic, they've all done better stats as a Laker. This isn't going off of their career stats and then who they played with, being that, if we put on their jersey, you're the greatest. No, that's not how this works, right? Because the other thing is our beloved Nuggets, I see here, Alex English is on the list here for them. But we both know that, I'm sorry, but Alex English is not the greatest Denver Nugget to play.
no, because even to that point, now a lot of people would argue this point, and maybe Anthony would agree with me. Prior to Jokic coming on board, so to speak, a lot of people could argue that the best person up until that point in time could have been Carmelo Anthony, even though it was an abbreviated, it was a short period of time. But there's also a justifiable case to say, hey, Alex English was the greatest Denver Nugget up until that point. So you could go back and forth over Alex and Carmelo. But to have any list, not just from this person, any person who says that Alex English is the greatest Denver Nugget of all time has to be speaking from a fan perspective. You cannot, there's no way to justify make this statement. Even the stats aren't there to back this up. This is ridiculous. And I don't want to start with the LeBron thing, because you know where I stand on that. You folks know where I stand on this. Even as a Laker, now if you want to say, obviously like with the Cleveland Cavaliers, that's one thing. But that's not really saving a whole lot to me. I mean, not really. I mean, because the Cowboys don't have this extensive history of great ball players, Lenny Wilkins, and there's a couple others. But let's get real.
Yeah, you're right.
But,
yeah, I mean, but on top of that, okay, so we're looking at this list. Okay, we're looking at everybody that's on here, and now looking at this list, though, at least, what are some of the ones that we could say are probably legit in the right spot, though?
Well, you can look at now people would.
So what? So obviously, is Russell? Would we say Russell is all-time Celtic? Is that the greatest player? Is he the greatest Celtic? They have Russell on here.
A lot of people could debate that. Now, again, you mentioned this last time we were on, and literally, and it is true to a degree. You have to throw titles into the mix, and when you start talking titles, let's get real. You and I both know you're not going to top.
Okay. So yes, so he has a lot of titles, yes, which is fine. You have a lot, but you have to think about the fact what he did in that era was probably should have been a little bit greater, right? Because if you think about Bill Russell, he wasn't the number one option on offense. He was a defender, right? I mean, the guy averaged only 15 points in an era where he probably should have averaged 20 to 25. He played at the same time that Wilt was there playing. And at that same time Wilt was playing, Wilt's over there averaging 30 and 22. So why couldn't Russell average that?
But Russell,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Russell didn't need to, but he didn't have to. The talent around him, and
that's what I'm saying. So he had a lot of other people around. He had Kuzi around him. I get it, and things like, and then he had Callens. So here's my thing though about Russell. Why I don't know if he's really the best Celtic ever. I get he has the 11 rings. That's fine. That's something that we could definitely have a discussion with, because rings is something that really matters a lot for sure. But at the same time, I think Larry is one that you're kind of looking at. Larry Bird needs to be one that maybe kind of makes that turn, right? Because at the same time, not only did he bring in a lot of Celtics championships too. I mean, nothing what Russell did, but at the same time, it's like he was changing the game too. At the same time, plus, a lot of people remember those Celtics Lakers matchups when it was Bird against Magic. They don't remember a lot of the Russell stuff, anyways. So for me, I think it's kind of hard to say that Russell is. I think I have to give the nod to Bird.
Yeah. I pause because I really do go back and forth with that. Both players, great facilitators. I talked about Bird a couple episodes back, and again, to that point, he was a great facilitator. I mean, he did all the things. Obviously, the talent around him, that type of thing. Russell missed out on a couple of potential finals or championships at that point in time. One, because he was injured, and they missed out because he wasn't there. Because technically, they could have went to another final, at least made another finals appearance. And they did lose out one to Philadelphia. With Chamberlain there playing for Philadelphia. But so really, if you look at, the dominance of this team as a whole, and obviously with what Russell was doing, and then you look at the fact that he also extended out beyond that as a head coach, with the same team, obviously, at least in part. It's tough for me, bud, because I love Bird to death. I could literally go back and forth. I could potentially lean towards Bird. I fall back on the titles. And the fact that and they both made everybody better. But I look at the dominance of the Celtics and what they had as a coach 2 hours back. And it's hard for me to step beyond the titles. But his numbers obviously statistically, even from the center position, are not
his numbers were not great.
No, exactly.
They were not great numbers. Even his field goal percentage was like in the 40s. His free throw percentage was terrible.
Yeah, but he never had to be. And I'm not saying that if he had to be, could he have averaged 30 and 12 and
I don't know if he could.
Exactly. Maybe he couldn't. We'll never know because he was never asked. He never had to do that because of the talent around him. We don't know.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Bill Russell. I think he is one of the greatest, obviously. But at the same time, it's like we have to step back a little bit and say, because I get it, we're saying 11, but like that's not like most people say like the Jordan conversation, right? All you guys ever say is 6 rings. Well, that's part of it for me, but there's other things that I can list off about why Jordan's the GOAT. For Russell, it's like 11 rings, I get it, but I need some other stuff too to go along with that. And the fact that you were in an era where you should have dominated, the numbers don't look great. Field goal percentage wise, free throw percentage wise, the points per game. He did good with the rebounds. I get he was a defensive player, but I just feel like still in that era, like he should have been able to just really, really dominate is kind of where I'm getting to with that.
Yeah, this is a 7 outside the box, just marginally. It kind of speaks to your point, but I really took a little exception to how Gilbert Arenas was contexting his opinion of Bill Russell, in that he really didn't feel like he felt like unless Russell was underneath the basket, he wasn't really much of anything. And I take real exception to that statement. He could shoot from outside. Obviously, he could run the court. He could run the court better than a lot of people did. And if you're gonna make that statement about Bill Russell, then make that statement even more so about Shaquille or Shaq, because this is the guy who, if he didn't have a game is underneath the rim, he didn't have a game. So if that's the kind of statement you want to make, that's completely misplaced. We'll never know exactly. Could Russell have been better? Could he put up more numbers? I do believe he's not the greatest center. You and I both know this. He's not. The numbers speak to that. But his ability to facilitate, to improve the players around him, that type of thing, I still lean towards that. I do like, and I'm still impressed by what they accomplished in that era. The competition wasn't as stiff as what we see, in the 90s, even the back end of the 80s and through the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers and that type of thing. But we have yet to see another team be that dominant from that point forward, regardless of the talent around them. So I'm going to lean towards that, but it's hard for me to shy away from Bird. I could almost interchange the two. I guess if somebody said, Mike, make a decision, I would bottom line, I would lean slightly towards Russell, but just because of the number, and I do believe he made everybody better. Bird did too, but
fair enough, and I get what you're saying for sure. I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm with you. I don't think you go wrong either way, like
No.
saying with this at all. But for me, I would take Bird on this one. But another one, a couple of ones I want you to kind of look at, Mike, is I see obviously LeBron is on here 3 times.
No.
You got the Cavs,
Yeah.
he's got the Lakers, he's got the Heat. Obviously, you and I both know that the Lakers one is incorrect. Now, Heat and Cavs, I believe the Cavs is absolutely right. He deserves to be there for the Cavs. There's nobody else that you could think of. I mean, I'm sorry, I'll sit here and wait all day long. There's nobody else as a Cav. Heat wise, I feel like that maybe is a D Wade area, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I get he goes there and they win, but it wasn't just him that won, right? And not to mention, D Wade won one before he had even gotten there.
So this would be me having a conversation with LeBron. I'm sorry, LeBron. If you felt that your transition to the Heat was going to be so significant and offered you such a great opportunity to, and don't sit there and I doubt that he's denied this, but you reached out to Chris Bosh because I got to believe you didn't feel that just you and Wade, the two of you combined, could get the job done. Because why else would you? Why'd you reach out to him? Why were you doing this? I've never in my life recalled any time where Michael. And I'm sorry, folks, but do Anthony and I have somewhat of a bias towards Jordan? I'm not going to speak for Anthony, but I do, because I'm speaking from.
I do.
But this is a man who
I'm not gonna lie.
never ever recruited anybody to do anything, and he never transitioned from one team to another. He didn't have to. He didn't want to. He didn't need to. But so here's LeBron transitioning to Miami in a move that was as lame as anything I've ever seen in sports, first of all. But yet you apparently didn't feel the two of you, between yourself and Wade, could get the job done. So let's get Bosh in on this. Because, and I think even Anthony would say, yeah, because you knew it wouldn't get done if you didn't have that third person. And it's the same deal. What if it was you and Bosh? What if you went to Toronto at the time? You would have recruited D Wade to come up to Toronto because you knew the two of you couldn't get the job done. And you're not the best player on the Miami Heat. You never were. I bet you money. You ask any diehard Miami Heat fan who's the best Miami Heat player in franchise history. I guarantee you, the first person 9 times out of 10 they're going to say Wade was the greatest player in Miami Heat history. Put aside Shaq with his brief bus stop appearance. Put aside LeBron coming down and just ring chasing, which is what he does every place he goes. And the Laker thing is Anthony said, is an absolute asinine clown show statement to even.
Yeah, I'm
really
with you.
is.
I'm with you on it.
It is.
I mean,
But Cleveland, I'm sorry, is not saying much. It's not. Yes, LeBron.
Yeah,
yes, LeBron cared.
I mean, the next person outside of LeBron is Mark Price, maybe.
Lenny Wilkins is maybe the best player they've ever.
Lenny Wilkins, Mark Price was pretty decent with them
I didn't
too.
like the guy, but he was a great ball player.
I mean, who knows though? Donovan Mitchell's making his way. If Donovan Mitchell keeps kind of doing what he's doing, obviously, I don't think he could surpass. Like, the problem is you're going up against LeBron, where that's exactly where he cemented himself right there, was being in Cleveland. That was it, getting them the ring and this and that. Like, Donovan's gonna have to get a ring. He's gonna have to do a whole lot to surpass him as a Cav.
Here's the point. He went back to Cleveland, and let's get real, folks. And I don't like either player, to tell you the truth. But if Kyrie Irving is not with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you think that title happens? No, it doesn't. Who took the shot to win? Who took the shot to win Game 7? Who took it?
Yeah.
It wasn't LeBron. Last I checked, it was Kyrie Irving, and I can't stand either one. But again, here's a situation where he couldn't get the job done if he didn't have those parts around him. So you can make these things all you want, but that's another part of this roster, this list that's misplaced. And there's another one on here that people will be surprised by when I get to it. And maybe Anthony's going to bring it up, but I disagree with this immensely. Well, we'll see.
Well, the next one I want to talk about is the Dallas Mavericks one. They got Dirk on there. Now, I think this is correct for right now.
Yeah.
But how close is Luka to taking this over?
Well, again, we start off with, Dirk has a championship. Luka's trying to get a championship. I believe it's potentially possible, if they stay together, if Kyrie's there and the parts continue to mesh, that if they don't get it this year, and I hope they do, because I'm not a Celtic fan, and I do like the Mavericks. I'm not a Kyrie fan, but, it is what it is. But if they don't get one this year, and potentially maybe he does get one next year, maybe two. I didn't realize he's only 25 years old. He's got a lot of legs
He's
left.
young, very young.
Yeah, he's got a lot of legs left if he keeps the weight down and stays motivated. But they've got a good nucleus there, a good coach. So we'll see. I do believe it takes that championship.
So this is the reason why I want to. Yeah, the reason I want to bring this up though is because we have LeBron on here 3 times.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're showing that this was made by somebody who's really into LeBron as far as being in the GOAT conversation. Obviously, we're going to get into the Bulls one here real soon, too, and talk about that. But for me, it's like, okay, let's take a look at this one right here right quick. Okay? This is your GOAT, but yet Luka Doncic and him in their first 370 games in the NBA, Luka is beating him in every single stat possible. Points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percent. He's beating him in all of that, okay? So you're telling me that this is supposed to be the GOAT? He's supposed to be better in all these teams, but yet Luka's already making his way at the age of 25 doing all this. And at the same time, it's like he's so close to passing up Dirk. I think if he gets a ring, why wouldn't he?
You know what they'll say, bud? I guarantee you what LeBron fans will say is the game now is built more to score and do all these other things than it was when LeBron came into the league. So he had to do more, this and that. They're going to absolutely be hypocritical about the whole thing. This is exactly how they would word this to defend this guy's inability to be a true GOAT. The numbers, Anthony and I talked about this off.
Well, no, I mean the other thing that's going to have a lot of conversation is in his first few years he didn't have a whole lot of people around him. He didn't have a great team when he first was in Cleveland, which is why he left, and then he started picking it up after that in Miami. And I don't care.
No, I don't either.
Luka didn't have a great supporting cast when he first started in Dallas either, and then they built it for him. So that's where he's gotten to where he's at. But this guy don't stop. Luka is good. And I think this is the problem that a lot of people are having is understanding that the fact that, the foreign players are starting to take over the NBA. I mean, Luka and Joker are the two fighting for the best players in the NBA. Giannis is up there too. It's nothing but Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Yes, they you know what I mean? So for me, it's like sitting here and thinking, how are you going to tell me that this guy is number 1 on 3 different teams? And yet, one of those teams is the Lakers.
And that's
like you don't know who Magic is.
You don't know who Kareem,
you don't know who Kareem is. You don't know who Kobe is. You don't know who Shaq is. You don't know who Jerry West is.
They don't care.
You could have put any of those 5. I don't care who you put it. Any of those 5 that I just mentioned on the Lakers, I'm not crushing you for it. You put LeBron James there as a Laker. I'm sorry, but I got an issue with that. That's ridiculous.
See,
that's absolutely ridiculous.
And that's why, Bud, when you sent me this list and I looked at what was going on here, that's why, like I said, folks, when we started this particular podcast, that it's not just this list. Anthony and I see this, and there's other people that see it too, but we don't see everybody's article or video or show, so we don't know everything. But this is what Anthony and I see, and this is what he and I continue to talk about sometimes on this show. And sometimes away from the show, because Anthony and I talk about this all the time. And everybody would say, oh, well, you guys are just a bunch of LeBron bashers. No, we're not. We're just sick and tired of the narrative being based on something that just isn't real. And it's just people reaching out for something that's just not there. Anthony's showing you right now stats from a kid who's 25 years old playing for the Mavericks, and his numbers just dwarf what this guy did at the same point in time. It's just fact. The numbers never lie, folks. In any walk of life, numbers don't lie. They're one of the few things you really can't truly change. And if you try to, people will show you what you did to tweak them. They just don't lie. And this is another example of that. And this is why, in part, you have LeBron James, as Anthony said, on this list 3 times. 3. The only one that's even remotely justifiable is Cleveland. And it's only because Cleveland doesn't have a history. That's why. Yeah. It's embarrassing, and that's an insult to the Laker organization. It's an insult to the history of the Lakers as a team and as players who have gone through the wars to accomplish what they did. I mean, it's amazing to me that these things happen. But it is what it is, and you can continue to think what you want about LeBron, and I guess what Anthony and I will just have to continue to do is, bring up stats, because as we go forward, LeBron's stats are going to continue to be dwarfed by other players, folks. They will be. And he's never going to have these titles and these successes that Michael Jordan had. And that's another subject. Maybe one night, Anthony and I will devote an entire segment, an hour, to Michael and LeBron. Stats across the board, everything, college, you name it. We'll break it all down for you. But back to your point, but yeah, it's these type of examples, and there's others, obviously. I'm not completely convinced that Clyde Drexler is the greatest trailblazer in the history of the organization.
Well, you're absolutely right. He's not. Dame Lillard has to be one of the top ones. In my opinion, he has to be. I don't see why Clyde is on here. I'm with you on that. He was good. Trust me.
He was great.
Clyde Drexler was a very good player, but Dame Lillard has a little more to offer that organization than he does, in my opinion.
Clyde didn't accomplish with his time with Portland what Bill Walton did in his time with Portland, folks. And we don't know what, Bill might, and this isn't me paying homage to Bill Walton because he recently passed away, but a real quick shout out to the great Bill Walton passing away.
He did get a ring for him. You're right.
And who knows what might have happened if he had stayed healthy, with all the severe health issues he had, or leg issues, foot issues. But again, Lillard is there too, as you mentioned, Bud. And that's, and yeah, we talked about the titles and stuff like that. So that becomes a factor in this. But I can't sit here and matter-of-factly say that Clyde Drexler is the greatest trailblazer in history. As a matter of fact, I don't believe that. I don't. And I'm going to speak. Now, this one I'm going to mention real quick, and Anthony might disagree with me here because I know how he feels about this particular person. I'm sorry, folks. I cannot. You're talking about the greatest Golden State player in history, and this person apparently feels that Kevin Durant is the greatest Golden State.
Oh no, it's Steph. It's Steph.
You got to also consider that Rick Barry was also a Golden State Warrior, but
he was. But Steph's the reason for that organization.
Steph Curry is the greatest Golden State Warrior probably there ever will be.
Absolutely.
Ever. You're talking about potentially maybe one of the top. I don't know. We're getting into areas now where Steph might be considered one of the 5 greatest basketball players ever.
Yeah.
Just in one team. I'm sorry, folks. People seem to forget. Golden State did win championships before Kevin Durant showed up. They did.
You're right. You're right.
They did. He just helped solidify and make them better. And they obviously went on to win 2 more. But they did win a chip before he showed up, folks. And he didn't manage to accomplish that in New Jersey. And he didn't manage to accomplish that in Oklahoma City. Not entirely his fault, but the facts are there. But as far as Golden State goes, Steph Curry, it's a slam dunk. You can't even bring that up.
And that's fine. And then if you wanted to have a reason to add KD to the list, and just put him on OKC. He was the reason in OKC that they did what they did. Exactly. He is better than Westbrook as far as OKC stat wise. For as far as what he did in his time there, he just put him in OKC, and Steph has to be. I get it. Yeah. I don't want to spend too much longer on this. I know we got a lot more to get into, but obviously the main one we want to talk about here is obviously Scottie being with Chicago. We both, folks, obviously it's not just us. Please don't tell me you believe this either or whatever, but we all know that it's Jordan. Jordan needs to be up here. So obviously, like we said, this has something to do a lot more with somebody who absolutely hates Jordan, is a big LeBron fan, which is fine, guys. There's nothing wrong with being a fan of somebody, but also giving the right information. If I was doing this list, I would have Jordan in Chicago. I would also have LeBron in Cleveland. I would put him there. He deserves to be there. But I'm just saying, I'm not putting him as a Laker, and I'm not putting him as the Heat. That's just not where he belongs. Just as well as I probably would have put Clyde where he is. Looking at this, I don't think, obviously, English is another one that we said. The Hornets, I don't know about Kemba Walker. That's something I might have to look into a little bit more. But Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson was there. So kind of hard to say about those two.
Well, see, here's the
Other than that,
problem with the
obviously,
list.
but
But see, once you go into those areas where you've discredited the Chicago situation, you know,
yeah,
and to a degree, obviously, the Golden State situation, everything else becomes irrelevant because it's obvious you're not speaking off of fact, you're not speaking off statistics, you're speaking off biased. So
yeah,
you lose it. And I wasn't even going to address the Chicago Bulls situation because it's pointless. That's just absolutely egregious to put Scottie Pippen. And again, that right there, folks, if you look at the list, if you have a chance to go back later and just break it all down, because we just put it out there and we're talking about a lot of different stuff here and different players. If you go back later and look at what Anthony put up, and you really look at the ridiculousness of it, some of it doesn't even need to be mentioned because it's borderline pathetic, and it's nothing but a fan biased list put together by somebody who just hates on Jordan, obviously a few other players for whatever reason, and just has a hard on for LeBron. I mean, that's the bottom line way to put it. It's just I don't that's a whole different story for a different video, but it's pretty sad. But again, my final point on this is these are the kind of problems we get into with these lists these days. Is you're getting, and I know this came from somebody that's not 65, 70 years old who's witnessed a lot of basketball. This list probably came from somebody who's could be literally late teens, early 20s, maybe back in 20s, who hasn't seen Jack, doesn't know Jack, and never will, apparently, if they're going to base their knowledge off of this. So it's pretty sad. But that's like Bud always says, that's the times we live in.
yeah, no, for sure. And one of these things I kind of want to show people is because a lot of these, and because obviously this is referring to these people that are really into LeBron. Everybody always talks about LeBron this, LeBron that, how much he's done, that he was more of a passer first, that he was, in rebounds, and he was not that much of a scorer. Well, you know what, guys? Jordan did the same thing. Jordan did what he was supposed to do every single game that he plays. Look at this right here. This is Michael Jordan's Game 2 91 finals, okay? This is what he finished with: 33 points on 15 of 18 shooting, 13 assists, 7 rebounds, and obviously that's when he had the one spectacular move, right? The up and under, back underneath, right? For the whole 91 NBA Finals, he averaged 31.2 points, 11.4 assists, 6.6 rebounds, 2.8 steals, and 1.4 blocks, while shooting 56% from the field, 50% from the three, and played 44 minutes a game. Okay, think about this, guys. Think about this, okay? To average 31 and 18, do you know that how much you are contributing out there alone? The points alone is crazy, right? 31 points a game, right? LeBron has never averaged 31 points, okay? And then to not only think that, you're averaging 11 assists, not just 10, you're averaging 11.4 assists a game. You are contributing a whole lot of points for your team out there. A whole lot of points. And then what else are you doing? You're jumping in with an extra over 6 rebounds a game for him. Somebody that's 6'5" compared to 6'8", 260 or whatever. You're talking about what? 6'5", 6'6", 225, right? 2.8 steals. Almost 3 steals a game in the finals too. Blocks. Almost 2 blocks a game for somebody that's only 6'6", 6'5". And to shoot that well. Think about this, guys. Everybody talks about he was just a shooter, just a scorer. That's all he does. And nobody else does anything else on the court. Yeah, freaking right. This right here shows exactly the type of player that Michael Jordan was. And this was against the Showtime Lakers, Magic, and all that. And I don't care if you're talking to me about when he's heading his way out or whatever, yada, yada. I don't care what you guys are saying. This is the reason that he is where he's at, where he should be, and that's at the top of the mountain at Goat Mountain.
And again, folks, and Anthony and I could beat this into the ground ad nauseum, and we know, he and I both know, we're not going to convince LeBron fans that anything is different. We know this. We just keep hoping that as you get older, maybe common sense, and at least you'll be not quite as stupid as you are now later on in life. In regard to things that are obvious. But much like Anthony's talking about, and I'm not going to slight LeBron here for improving his game throughout his career. He does have a work ethic. He does work in the offseason to get better. But people seem to forget that, Michael Jordan also did this. For as big as he was, he understood the importance of improving your game in all aspects. People don't think he could shoot a three-pointer, but you know what? He could. He actually really could. He's actually very good at it. But he shot it when it was necessary. He didn't shoot it because he felt like it. He shot because it was necessary. He was a moment shooter with the threes. He wasn't there to collect stats. It was about, is this a good time to try this, to do this? I think it is. I'm going to take it. This is why. Go back to game 1 of the finals against Portland. And I think if you ever want validation of whether or not the guy could shoot a three-pointer, look at that game. I think that's all you'll need for visual proof of how talented the man was. But don't discredit, his work ethic away from the game year in and year out. Even when he came back from a 2-year hiatus and managed to go on to win 3 more, consecutive championships. 3 more with a different cast of characters. You know how tough that is? You know how difficult that is? It's almost impossible. And to do it 3 years in a row, 2 times, do you know how difficult that is? It's impossible. But guess what? He helped make it possible. So bash all you want, but sometimes, somehow, some way, grab a book, open it up, a statistics book, and look at it and see what the numbers show you and compare the two. After the careers are over, and not because LeBron played 855,000 games as opposed to Jordan's 565 or whatever it is, okay? Look at the numbers, okay? And I think you'll have all the evidence you need. And that's all I'm going to say, and that's all needs to be said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you on that for sure.
And real quick, that's just me and Anthony dropping the mic on this pointless conversation.
Exactly. No, for sure. And it's kind of cool to look at this. Obviously, like I said, this is kind of the show we're having. It's called we're having the GOAT Show, guys. So we're going to talk a lot about different kinds of stuff. But this is kind of fun to bring up, kind of talk about things like that. And it's always fun to have these debates. It's always fun to see what other people think about. And the nice thing about this list, though, is looking at showing that there are some old heads still on here that some people have thought about, right? Obviously, Oscar Robertson's on here. Bob Pettit's on here, the Dr. J. So Karl Malone being with the Jazz, I thought that was pretty cool thing because those are the ones that you get right, and it's absolutely right, and it still shows that you have some sort of knowledge at least about some of this when you're doing these lists and stuff like that, But obviously for us, I mean, our goats are going to be a whole lot different. And like Mike said, if sometime down the road we can always get into this later on about it and things like that. But
at the same time, guys,
our goats are always going to be different. And think about it, Mike. Who's your
goat
for the NFL
or
how do you
judge a goat?
How do you rank that when it comes to the NFL? Because basketball, obviously, we could tell it's a little bit different. You're playing 5-on-5. Football, you're talking about 11 guys out there on the field. Does it have to be a quarterback? I mean, is we go with defense on the other hand, or wide receivers? Who's your goat for football?
Well,
if you have one, and how do you rank yours?
Well, and 2 things, and one goes back to a point that you made a little bit ago regarding that particular collection of goats, if you will, for basketball. You've got to put aside your bias, because I tell you what, folks, I could sit here and say John Elway is my GOAT, because I literally, I haven't had a chance. Anthony hasn't either. Most of us haven't had a chance to watch a collected list of people that we consider GOATs. We haven't had a chance to see their careers play out from start to finish. Very, very few, right? GOATs, Hall of Famers. We see a few here. I mean, like Anthony can say, yeah, I saw Steph Curry play his entire career, that type of thing. So I could say, yeah, I saw John Elway play from start to finish, and I saw the progression. I saw him play in college. But I'm not going to do that because, in part, I did see other players that I thought were better. And in my second part of this equation is Anthony's always made a great point about this. He actually sort of played it around the Heisman, and it's one of the greatest observations I've ever seen. And Anthony's the one who observed this and brought this up. And I'll get back to the GOATs in just a quick second. But Anthony's point was, when we're talking about the Heisman, we always seem to focus on the offensive side of the ball. You know, why is it always the running?
Well, it wasn't just Heisman; it was MVP
Yeah,
also.
MVP.
We were talking about the MVP also. That just wide receivers and stuff don't get the same credit that some of these quarterbacks do.
Yes,
Or even running backs.
Anthony made that point, and it's a valid point. And I was remiss in that too because Anthony's right. I mean, why does it have to be the quarterback that gets all the glory all the time? Because without the receiver, the quarterback hasn't got much to work with sometimes. If he doesn't have that running back, yada yada yada. So there's sides, there's aspects of this ball that you put together. So, but Elway's not my GOAT. He's not my GOAT. Now, if I'll say this, am I the biggest Tom Brady fan in the world? No. But if I look at this man's collective body of work from how his career began, and I saw the whole career, folks. Anthony saw the whole career. This is a guy who had to come off the bench, and replace Bledsoe because he got hurt, or he's still riding the bench. But he played so well that he took the job from the man and just rode it forward all the way to the Hall of Fame. But look at the man's body of work. And even put aside all the Super Bowls, right? I mean, that's the cherry on top. But look at the stats. Look at the fact that New England could bring in middle tier receivers almost throughout his career. We exclude Randy Moss and a couple of, there's guys there that were good, but they weren't great. Only real great receiver he ever really had. And let's not put Gronk as a tight end. Gronk was a tight end, so Randy Moss was there. But aside from that, look at what they literally surrounded this guy with.
Yeah.
Middle level talent, even at the running back position.
Oh, you're right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
You're absolutely right.
So if I look at football, I mean, that's my GOAT. I mean, and the stats are there to back it up. But if you want to say, hey, Mike, who would you, if you're going to be biased about it, who would it be? I still think John Elway is a top 5 all-time quarterback for me, but he's not. But if I'm saying if I'm biased, yes, it's Elway because I thought he had to carry the team at times for the majority of his career until Terrell Davis came along. If John's not there, they don't win. They don't go to Super Bowls. But if you put those aside and you look at the body of work, I mean, I'm not saying that Tom Brady is the greatest. Everybody has their opinion. Even Anthony might chime in here and say, "No, Brady was great, but here's this other guy." But for me, it's Tom Brady as an NFL player.
Well, like for me.
Well, like for me I see it as this is how I look at the GOAT debate here. Basketball, I have no problems with going ahead and saying I can pick one person and having that because in basketball you play both sides of the court, right? You play offense and defense. In hockey, you have to go out there. You have to play offense and defense. Now in baseball for me, I look at it as a different situation. I feel like you have to have players and you also have to have a pitcher as your GOAT because at the same time the pitchers, they don't really hit a lot. Some did, obviously. It depends on when you're going back into. You're talking about like the Babe Ruth era and stuff like that. But obviously guys like Randy Johnson and Greg Maddux, they hit, but they weren't great hitters. Obviously things like that. And then obviously when looking at football, for me, I have to have, in my opinion, 2 GOATs. You have to have an offense and a defense. Because nobody does. I mean, honestly, right? I mean, we're sitting here thinking about it. Like, if you had to go and put Tom Brady on defense, what's he gonna do? Where's he gonna play? You can't put him anywhere. The guy's not a defensive player, right? He's a quarterback. So
I have to go both ways.
I have to go both ways because I just feel like the more I start thinking about these debates like this is how do you just pick one guy like Tom Brady and say,
yep, he's the best
NFL player all around. Well, he didn't, but he was never on the other side of the field.
So who's to say he wouldn't
screw it up? And this, you know what I mean? Like, For me, I'm sticking with Tom. I do have him obviously on the opposite. And the one time for me that really pushed it over for me, and I was like, hey, as soon as he left New England, because that was the big key, right? The big key for everything was when he left to New England, where's he going to go, and how is he going to be without Belichick, right? So for me, he got to Tampa Bay, he went and won another ring, and not only did he just win the ring, he beat Mahomes in Kansas City, right? That's the other big thing. So that right there cemented it for sure, right there and then. It's like, there's nobody else better. He's got 7 rings, he did it outside of New England.
there's just nobody better.
There's just nobody better,
than him.
than him. Obviously,
guys like Jerry Rice
come into mind.
Barry would be somebody. If Barry could have somehow maybe gotten to a Super Bowl, his name could probably be brought up a little bit more. But he had to at least get there. He never got there. If he won, obviously that's a little bit of a stretch still against Tom with his 7. But obviously Jerry Rice is somebody up there that we could talk about. But on the defensive side, you got to just give it to like Lawrence Taylor, man. I mean, that guy was just amazing with what he did, right? I mean, he could do it all. I mean, he was a great tackler. He could rush the passer. I mean, he could drop back into coverage if he needed to. I mean, he was just an all-around great linebacker, and it's somebody that, even though we keep talking, right, like they keep talking about these guys, they keep bringing up the Micah Parsons and the Von Millers and stuff like that, and they're like, these guys are going to be there. They're still not there. It's just like the Jordan thing, right? Oh, we're going to see the next Jordan. Anthony Edwards was there. Everybody's kind of saying, oh, is he the next coming of Jordan and this and that? And then it falls apart.
Right? I mean, Micah Parsons isn't that next guy that Lawrence Taylor was. He had a rough season last year. Vaughn was very, very good, but still nothing what Lawrence was, right? And I know you, Mike, could talk a little bit more about Lawrence Taylor and what he did. I mean, you've seen him play a lot more than I did, things like that. But that's for me. I have to go both ways on that. I don't feel like it's right to just give one guy on one side of the ball all the credit when these guys on the defensive side do a lot also for a lot of these teams.
No, and that's a great assessment, Bud. And I wouldn't argue that point at any time. Here's part of what I defer to and we've talked about this, and it's been brought up in other, shows and stuff like that. But when you start talking about greats and things like that, it's always about, you want to know how one way to measure greatness is, regardless of the player that comes along, who are they compared to, right? So if you use Micah Parsons as an example, it's not, man, I remember this guy back in the 80s. He reminds me of Micah Parsons. It never works that way. It's always, who does Micah Parsons remind you of? That's where you find greatness, right? So to Bud's point, I saw Taylor's career in its entirety. I've never seen anybody more devastating on the defensive side of the football than Lawrence Taylor. That was the first guy I had ever seen, and I've been watching football since I have memories of football when I was 5 years old, folks. So I've been watching football for a long time. So by the time Taylor came along, I'd still seen quite a bit. I've seen a lot of ball players, a lot of good ball players, offensive and defense. I'd never seen anybody like Lawrence Taylor. And to hear players say that after the fact, going back, that and even coaches saying, "Hey man, when you played the Giants, we weren't game planning just, against their offense. We were game planning for Lawrence Taylor."
Exactly.
Yes,
Never in your life had you heard of anybody saying that from the defensive perspective, we had to game plan for that guy.
Yep.
Lawrence Taylor.
You're absolutely right.
And that's all you need to know with that. The other player that has, and it's become more prominent to me over the last maybe 6-7 years, Bud. And, I don't know where you're at with this. I still believe that Deion Sanders is not only one of the best defensive players I've ever seen, but
one of the best special teams.
Can play special teams. He played offense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a two-side player, and he could do it. And, let's put aside the baseball thing because we're talking about, football right now. But this guy could do both sides of the football. And he did it well.
Yeah.
He did it very, very well. And he was the first secondary player that I had ever seen that literally teams were game planning not to throw to his side of the field.
You couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't throw to his area.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Yeah, you
pointless.
And
So that's another.
And see this, and I love those. Those are probably your two
Those
top, right? Those
Yes.
are, it has to be Deion and Lawrence as far as what you think about Deion. The
only
only reason I give it to Lawrence is
Oh,
because
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like I
yeah.
said he could do a little bit
Yep.
more. If Deion had a lot of sacks, he rushed the quarterback a lot, this and that. Obviously, yes, he probably takes that over for sure because you got the special teams things, all stuff like that. But Lawrence did all of that stuff. He could intercept. He could coverage if he needed to. So that's why I give him that little bit more
I agree
credit
with
for that. But of course, Dion was absolutely amazing for sure.
and things like
For
that.
sure.
I love
Kind of
that.
want to push.
Kind of want to
push
push it a little bit,
We're
Mike. We're kind of running out of time here on this.
So
Obviously we talked
football
about football
goals.
goals. We talked about obviously Jordan being our goals for baseball.
basketball.
I mean for basketball. Now,
hockey for you?
what about hockey for you, Mike?
Who's
Who's your goat in hockey? Is it Wayne?
Is that who we're going?
Is that who we're going here?
But I mean, and there's a lot of great hockey players. I mean, the Alex Tanguay's and obviously the Joe Sakic's and Peter, Waz and all these guys, and I could go on and on and on with different hockey players and that type of thing. For me, I've never been the great hockey watcher, folks. It's hockey, so it's not, it's just not my thing. But I can appreciate greatness, and I've seen enough hockey to appreciate really good hockey players. And even if you haven't seen enough hockey, the stats alone with what Wayne Gretzky did with his position, with different teams. Obviously, he won chip with the Kings. He obviously won with Edmonton. Even did, he coached the Coyotes at one point. But statistically, and what this kid did coming into the league, as a really young player. I mean, he was hyped coming out of high school. And made the transition right into the minors, and his coming up was rapid, and he came out of the gate firing. I mean, there was no learning curve with Wayne, not really.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this kid was the real deal, And again, I fall back on, we can go through this list of hockey players that have played since, but I'm telling you, folks, as great as they are, and as long as they may have played, and however many goals they may have scored, I guarantee you that player is going to be compared to Wayne Gretzky.
I agree.
I absolutely agree with you.
Wayne is up there.
I mean, granted, guys, don't get me wrong. There's been plenty of great hockey players. Obviously, there's some playing right now still there. Nathan McKinnon is one guy that's definitely out there that's really good. But I mean,
to say you got
your Jaromir Jagr, Mario Lemieux, Crosby's another one, Mike Modano, another one. You mentioned Sakic as another one.
Patrick, position.
Bobby Hull,
Gordie
Howe.
So many great players, right? But with all that saying,
Gretzky was still here
above everybody else. Everybody else was still down below here, right? With all that saying, all those great players, it's still going to be Gretzky, and it always will be for me, and that's where I stick at. So, and I don't want to get into too much hockey either, like Mike says. I mean, I used to watch tons of it, though, guys. I mean, I used to be a huge Avalanche fan. I watched the games, religiously every single night that they were on, even on the late nights. Even my dad would allow me to stay up a little longer to watch some of the later ones. But I used to be a huge Avs fan for sure. But Gretzky is still till this day, unless somebody else, like hopefully maybe McKinnon would be great to see if he can surpass that, but it's going to take a lot of work to pass somebody like that. A lot of work for sure.
And real quick, quick shout out to the Panthers. I don't mind Edmonton, never been a huge fan, but I kind of like to see the Panthers pull it off. I've got them winning in 4 games to 3.
Wow. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. Go Panthers on that, right? Our last sport that we want to talk about as far as GOAT status here is baseball, Mike. And like I said, I go both. I try to go with pitcher and hitter, but you probably think a little differently. Where do you go with
No, I am, but and this will surprise a lot of people. Mine surprised Anthony. And there's been a lot of greats, and we see one right now with Ohtani that's able to do it both ways. But folks, I gotta defer back to I gotta go way back here. And I got to go all the way back to Babe Ruth, and I say this for a reason, right? Now, we all know the numbers, the history, the legend, all these other things, pointing to that side of the field, guaranteeing a home run, yada, yada, yada. Folks, if you really look at what this man accomplished in his playing career and literally, pitching, hitting, and now when he pitched back then, as we all know, you didn't get these 7 and 8 days off between rotations.
Absolutely.
And you were pitching full games. You were just, you'd have that relief coming in. You were pitching the full game. And his pitching career speaks for itself, wins and losses. Not as impressive, obviously, as what he did with the bat. I mean, let's get real here. But you got to look, I have to look anyway, at that part of the equation. And the fact of he was a very good pitcher. Now, people might say, well, he wasn't Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a whole, this man produced in both areas. and did it incredibly well.
Absolutely.
And I look at what he had to go off of from a rotation aspect of things, and the number of days you had between this, and still going out and producing. Man didn't miss a lot of games, folks. But then a lot of baseball players didn't miss a lot of games back then. But we know where that's at now. As Bud said, times change. It is what it is. But back then, you didn't get these days off. You didn't get those. You had to go out and you had to pitch. And if you had to pitch, you had to pitch a full game. That was the expectation. At least go as far as you could. And typically they went, and then sometimes they went beyond 9 innings, folks. Believe it or not, they did. And that's always impressed me, aside from who Babe Ruth is and all those things and his greatness. I look at that, and I still hold it. For me personally, Babe Ruth is that GOAT. He is that GOAT.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike.
I'm with you, Mike. I'm totally with you on the Babe Ruth thing. He has to be. I mean, he just changed the game. And then the fact of, and for me, I have him as the GOAT as far as hitting though. I have him as the hitter. And the fielder, player, all around like that. I don't have him as the pitcher. Not to say like you said, he's not that he wasn't a great pitcher. He was really good. But that hitting, to be able to hit as many home runs as he did in that era is insane. I mean, look at some of these old films and stuff. What was he hitting with? I mean, it looked like it was a broomstick that he's swinging with, and this guy's just launching them out of there, right?
Well, not even like this. This athlete's body.
Exactly. That's the next thing I'm gonna bring up. He doesn't even look like an athlete, right? I mean, this guy's just kind of just rolling around the bases, right? So it was fun to watch, though. That when you watch his stuff, it's exciting to watch him and how good he was. So I do have him there, and then I have to stick with Nolan Ryan, right, as a pitcher. I mean, holy crap! How many strikeouts? Right? I mean, and to say that the fact that, I mean, that's probably never going to be broken. I mean, that is insane, the amount of strikeouts he has. On top of that,
no hitters.
Well, yeah, and
that's the other thing. The no hitters, the strikeouts.
Also the fact, like
you had brought,
how often these guys
pitch. I mean, they pitched all the time, right? So that really takes a difference. That makes a toll. These guys right now are getting 5 days rest, 5-6 days rest in between each one. And these guys are getting 2 to 3 days if they're lucky.
And they're not even being asked.
Most of the time, it's a day.
Exactly.
They got all these other pitchers that can come in. These middle relievers now, long relievers, or setup players, and the closers. Yeah, I get it, right? But Nolan Ryan, that guy was amazing. Amazing dude. Those are my two goats, though. That I have to stick with. There's plenty of other guys. Trust me. I mean, there's so many that I love to talk about. Obviously, you got the Randy Johnson. Greg Maddux is a huge fan of mine. I love Greg Maddux. I'm a huge fan of his. He's not a fan of mine, but I love Greg Maddux. I absolutely love the guy. And the thing about Greg Maddux is he didn't overpower. He didn't get you with power, right? He wasn't an overpowered pitcher. The guy hit his spot. I mean, he was hitting every corner possible. He could tell you when it was coming, but it was hit the corner, and you just couldn't touch it, right? And that's the fun thing about him. Obviously, I feel like Atlanta at that point in time should have won a little more. Then we both talked about that. Obviously, Ken Griffey's another big, huge. I'm a huge fan of him. I think he could be in that conversation. Albert Pujols is another guy I think that can possibly be in that conversation. I mean, he's done it all, right? I mean, he's up there in home runs. He's a tremendous fielder. Great hitter for average, right? I mean, he's a great player. He's got the rings too, multiple rings, things like that. Also, he's everywhere he's gone. He's always made the team better. I feel like, obviously towards the end of his career, whatever. I mean, he went to the Dodgers, so be it. But being in St. Louis, going to where was he at after? Because he left St. Louis. Was it
just the Dodgers?
Just the Dodgers that he went to?
No, I thought he went to the Angels.
Angels, that's right.
Angels, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. I couldn't. I knew I was forgetting somebody. And that's right. He was playing with Trout. Sorry about that. But he's another guy that you can always talk about too. But no, for me, Ryan and Ruth are the two.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say real quick. Then obviously we need to wrap this one up. But to your point, if I had to look at the offensive side with pitching, you have actually literally mentioned the two names that I would have stepped outside the box on. And that's Nolan Ryan. Folks, I don't remember all of Nolan Ryan's career, but I was alive for it, so to speak. But I did see quite a bit of it, and I saw a few of the no-hitters. And I'll tell you what, one of the toughest athletes I've ever seen in my life. He's a baseball pitcher with a hockey mentality. And by that I meant, if you mess with this dude, you were going to be in a fight that you had no ability to prepare for, because he was probably going to beat your ass, because Nolan Ryan knew how to scrap, and he knew how to scrap the right way, and he would take you down. He did not hesitate to get involved if you challenged him. And I actually respected that about the guy. He was a competitor. You know, he kept you out of the box. If he didn't like you leaning in, he was going to force you out and keep you in check. But if he wanted to go, he'd go. Randy Johnson also, for pitchers for me, one of the absolute best pitchers I've ever seen in my entire life, and also one of the best hitting pitchers I've ever seen. Not, you know, not consistently, but a lot of times.
I don't know. If you're talking about a hitting pitcher, I'm gonna have to go Madison Bumgarner. That guy was
very
amazing.
good one. Very good one.
Bumgarner
was a hell of a pitcher when it came to hitting. And then remember that, what was that span there where the Mets had like a whole, everybody on the Mets team that was a pitcher could hit. It was like, I think DeGrom was hitting and Syndergaard, they all could hit or something like that. It was crazy at that point in time. No, great for sure. Obviously, I like to hear the GOAT ones. I like what we have for sure on that. And like Mike said, maybe we'll get into that basketball GOAT conversation a little bit more when we have some time. But we're going to take a quick break, guys, and when we come back, we'll talk about some more GOAT stuff outside of sports. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we are here. Almost Mediocre Sports Guys. Anthony, Mike. The GOAT Show. Now we spent our first hour, guys, talking about sports related, our GOATs with the 4 major sports, things like that. But we kind of want to get into this second hour, finish off the show talking about just some of our just everyday GOAT themes, right? So, Mike, one of my questions is what's your GOAT food? Like you know, I'm absolutely hungry. I have the money for it. If I want to go get something, I do whatever I want. But if I'm gonna get something, and it specifically, you know, I'm not just saying like you're gonna go to just McDonald's or something. But what is a specific food that's your GOAT food you're going to?
I'm gonna tell you 2 things. One actually is in your part of the country. It's not here in the South, which is really somewhat discouraging. My other one is more of a snack item, but it's a food item. Okay, so I'm going to go to the snack item first, right?
Okay.
Now I got to give a massive. Now this is the thing. I got to give a massive shout out to Krispy Kreme, and I hope that's okay, folks. Now we're not paid by Krispy Kreme, right? So I hope we don't get hit with any kind of penalty here. I'm just saying. Krispy Kreme has one of the greatest, and real quick, here where we live now, there's a donut shop called Midtown Donuts, right? And they've got the best donuts I've ever had as a whole, from top to bottom.
Hey! Shout out to Charles Barkley on that Krispy Kreme though. You know what I mean? Maybe he can
Charles
go with
knows.
us or something.
Charles knows.
He absolutely knows. Especially when that ready sign is on.
Hot and ready.
Hot and ready.
But so Krispy Kreme has a donut, like I said, but it's only around at certain times of the year, and it's a Reese's donut. And I'm not
you got
kidding,
me.
but
Oh, you got me
this
hooked
thing-
up.
I'm
I'm
hooked.
hooked. I'm hooked. I love
So
Reese's. I
now
love
the
Reese's.
inside,
I'm
the
hooked.
top is chocolate. And I know people out there have had them, so I'm just going to give a brief description real quick of those that have not sampled this work of art. So the donut itself, topped off with chocolate, but inside is the peanut butter. And I'm telling you what, this is insane. They,
Man.
to my point. So where we're at right now, folks, they don't have a Krispy Kreme close by, but my wife and I drove to the one that we did get one at, which was probably from where we are right now, about 15 miles away. 15 miles to get a
Jeez.
Krispy Kreme Reese's donut. That's how great they are. That's how great that donut.
Wow.
That's my goat donut. Now, my food item. And I think about this all the time, and I know you've had it too. I think you have. So in Colorado, and I know other select parts of the country, like I said, not in the South, but Colorado has Tokyo Joe's.
Yes.
Yes.
And
yes.
folks, let me tell you.
I have not ate it
Oh
before.
my goodness, but you haven't had it?
I have not.
I have not.
Oh my goodness. It all is literally, folks, for those of you, it's just, you can get steamed rice, you can get brown rice, whatever. And then, it comes with a sauce. Obviously, you can get chicken on it, you can get beef on it, steak on it, I should say, chicken, steak, that type of thing. Chicken teriyaki bowl. I mean, the last time I was in Colorado, I had 2 of those. When I came back and I saw you and your dad and your families, well, I still managed to get 2 of those in those few days. This is a go-to, folks. If you ever have a chance, and there's one somewhere where you live, and if you've never sampled Tokyo Joe's, you have got to do this. I'm telling you, anyone I've ever introduced this to has become a fan. So remember Tokyo Joe's.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, I like
Interesting.
it.
Okay, I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot. I mean, I like that you brought in the
started
snack
thinking
thing
about
because I
this
started thinking
when you
about
said
this
that, so
when you
kinda
said that,
think
so I
about
can
what
kind
I
of
wanted.
think
So
about what I wanted. So
For me,
Almost
you're gonna say what?
you're gonna
I
say what?
almost said Twinkie, but it doesn't top Reese's.
I was wondering.
about the Twinkie. I was wondering about that for sure,
But I
but
still like.
I like the donut. I'm hooked on it. I have to try it. When it comes in, I gotta know because I'm gonna have to check it out for sure. And I'm gonna have to get one. I mean, I'm hooked on it for sure. But for me, if it is, and I had to really think hard, but I know exactly what it is.
I'm taking
myself to the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, and I'm just getting some old-fashioned fudge.
Really?
Just old-fashioned. Oh my God.
Ooh,
that fudge is amazing.
I have had
when you
this.
get it.
I have had this fudge, and it is good.
It's amazing. Oh, it is great, and it's just the regular old-fashioned. I don't need anything spectacular. Just give me a nice little brick of old-fashioned fudge, and I'm good. I come home and I'm good. That thing is amazing. I absolutely love that fudge. It's great.
Now food. It's a tough one.
But I think I have to go.
To
And
be honest with you,
it's not even. It doesn't have to come from a specific place.
It's just pizza.
It's just pizza. I mean, that's my goal. I mean, food is pizza. I mean, just
give me a good.
and I don't care what it is. It could be Papa John's. It could be Little Caesars. It could be Big Daddy's. It could be Domino's.
But you do have a
I just
go-to
love pizza.
You do have a go-to pizza place. I mean, a brand.
If I have to choose exactly where I'm going to, it's Papa John's for me. I love the Papa John's.
We love it.
Oh yeah, we love it here. We love the Papa John's one. The stuffed crust is one of the best that we love. But it's pizza for me. I mean, that's go-to. It's like, what do you want? And it's more because the other thing is it's so easy, right? You just get the pizza to you. You have some paper plates thrown on there. You use your hands. You eat your pizza. You're good. That's it. Cleanup's easy. Right? That's the other thing. And on top of that, it's just good. I mean, you can't go wrong with just pizza, right?
No, and also one of the best reheat items you can ever have in your life is pizza.
Exactly.
I also think chicken is. You know what? It's funny though. I actually like chicken cold. I like it when you buy it warm, and that's great. But I actually prefer.
I can't eat any food like that cold. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
the wife's like that. She'll be putting on. She's like that. She's I could eat my wings a little colder. I don't like my stuff super hot. I'm like, I want my stuff to be warm,
pizza.
or at least somewhat hot.
Yeah, but pizza, man, I can eat pizza cold too, actually. I'm not a biggest fan, but I can do it, and I have no problem with it. But I'll tell you what, you throw that in the microwave, oh, that's some good stuff. That is some good stuff. And real quick, folks, a little trick for you. I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't know if Anthony's ever done this. Here's a trick for you. If you like cookies, if you like soft cookies, and I'm talking about going to the store, buy soft batch cookies, right? Here's a trick. Take the cookies, what do you want, 1, 2, 4, 5, put them on a paper towel, put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. It's just like coming out of the oven. They are freaking insane. If it's chocolate chip,
Okay.
the chips melt. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. So remember that soft, not hard cookies, only soft batch cookies. Stick them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Man, you're talking right out of the oven type goodness.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go, guys.
There you go, guys. And tune in next week for some more of Mike's cooking and baking techniques for us too.
I'll tell you,
On top of
burn
that.
water in 2 easy steps.
Exactly. See.
Exactly. See.
So
So
we're talking
about food. We're talking about drinks, things like that. Talking about food. I want to talk about drink. What's the goat drink? What's the goat drink, Mike? I mean, what's the goat? You got your you're talking about this, right? You got your Reese's donut. You got your you got your food there.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? What are we doing for a drink? What has to be there?
Yes, this is kind of two-sided, right? Because Bud and I, we did a segment on this a while back. I don't drink soft drinks anymore, folks. But if I did, and still was, even when I drank soft drinks, was Mountain Dew. Nothing is better than, and I'll tell you what, Mountain Dew in a can out of the refrigerator or whatever, and you go to the grocery store or the convenience store, you pull it out, drink it, that's great. Put it in the freezer for a little bit, let it get ice cold, that's great. But I'm telling you what, pouring Mountain Dew into a glass with some ice cubes in it. Nothing is better than this. Still to this day, I can literally, and I'm telling you folks, I have not had soft drink since about 2011. You're talking almost 13 years this summer since I had a soft drink, right? I could tell you without fail how the exact taste that what that's like. Mountain Dew, either on ice cubes or not, is the best drink in the whole world to me. It has been ever since I was a kid. I absolutely love it.
I'm with you on that.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, for me, it's just gotta be. It's gonna be an ice cold Pepsi. That's it. That's sitting there with my pizza and my old fashioned fudge and a nice cold Pepsi. That's how it's gonna be, right? That's my goat meal, right? That is our goat meal.
As you can tell, folks, we're Anthony and I are incorporating the 4 major food groups, and we made sure to special.
Hey, I love my food. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I love my food.
Real quick, I know people take offense. I don't care. Pineapple on pizza is entirely acceptable, and Canadian bacon together, that's a crime.
Hey, I'm not. I mean, I have no say. I mean, I'm fine with it. If that's what people want to eat, they cool, whatever. I mean, I've had it before, and it's not terrible. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's awful at all. Is it my top go-to? No, I mean, my go-to is gonna be pepperoni. It's just a pepperoni pizza. That's how simple I am, right? It's just a pepperoni pizza. You just bring me a pepperoni pizza. That's
so
great.
Real quick though, now you're saying now, and granted, this is my list and Anthony's list or preferences, but you're a family man, bud. So you gotta give a little here. So when you order
this is
the great part about it is they're just the same. They love pepperoni, and it's a pepperoni and sausage. That's all it is. That's how easy we are. It's literally pepperoni sausage, and all the kids and the wife, they eat it. No problem. As long as I hit the wife with the stuffed crust, that's all that matters. She's good with it. I have to give her the stuffed crust.
One last thing I'm gonna say about pizza, and I don't know if Bud's ever done this. I don't know if you invest at all in like store-bought pizzas, right?
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, absolute go-to. If I had to give you a goat pizza in the store, right? Go into the store, buy it, take it home in the box. Totino's Pizzas. When I was a kid. Oh, now hold on. Hear me out here. When I was a kid, right? There was nothing, but you could take a Totino's pizza, cut it into like 4 slices, 8 if you want. And man, this is the best stuff in the world. But this is, there was another one. Why can't I remember the name of it? It was a thicker pizza. I wish I could think of it. I had it on, Tombstone. Tombstone had a really good pizza too, but those are my goat pizzas, but Tombstone was my absolute goat pizza.
No, I mean, they ain't nothing like that.
They ain't nothing like that Tony's for me. The Tony's one. And so here's the reason I am like Totino's because,
it's changing a little now.
It's changing a little now. Okay, I should say. I feel like the Totino's ones have gone a lot smaller than when we are used to.
The other thing is like
it's square. A pizza's not squared. Okay?
Come on now, guys.
Like,
it's round.
help me. It's round. Pizza's round. The Tony's, but the only thing I hated about Tony, and I go a little overboard sometimes. I felt like they didn't give you enough pepperoni when you got pepperoni. So what I would do is because hey, I love pepperoni. Guys, I would buy just regular pepperoni in the package, and I just eat it. I just eat it like that. So when I would get a Tony's one, I knew it would be too low. I just open the package, kind of spread out. I get the pepperoni out. I'd add more. I'm adding more to it before I throw it in the oven. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but Tony's for me. I love.
Good choice, good choice.
What was the other one? I think we had tried like a Red Baron. That actually wasn't bad. That was
very
really
good choice.
You know,
very good selection.
For sure on those. But I don't know. I don't know. I just love me some pizza. It don't matter where it is. Anytime I go somewhere, it's like, especially like an event or something, or we go to a party, and it's like, what'd you guys get for food? It's like pizza. Score.
Yep, always. You can never go wrong with pizza. You can't.
Never.
I don't think. Don't quote me. I don't think I've ever met anybody that did not like pizza. At least, like they'd eat a piece.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that didn't like pizza.
Does. I agree.
Oh
my God! Now I want pizza. Now I want pizza. Ready to go.
I don't think we have it.
I don't think we have it. You know what? Actually, I think we did get some. I think we did. I think we got Totino's ones. Talking all this crap about it, but there's probably some Totino's in my freezer right now. So now
we finished our food.
We finished our food, right?
So now it's time. For
us to kind of make way. Keep going in the living room. We're gonna
flip on the TV.
On the TV, right?
What are we watching?
What's the movie we're putting on? What's the goat movie that's just like, all right, I've had my goat meal. Sitting down.
Put on a movie.
I get to pick whatever I want.
What's going on the TV?
Without fail, one of my this is the irony of my life sometimes, folks. It's pretty pathetic. So I grew up, we did this on a podcast too at one point with one of our lists. I grew up at the beach. I mean, I was swimming by the time I was 5, and I could swim a mile out by the time I was 7, 8, something like that. No problems. 10 years old, I see a movie called Jaws. I've never gone back in the water at the ocean since. And I should say this, if I've gone into the water, it was only knee high. And there's always got to be out in front of me because the sharks got to have options, because that way they'll be full by the time they ever get to me, because they're not going to want anything by the time they get to me, because I'm knee high in the water. I'm going back to shore anyway. Jaws is my absolute, I bet you I've seen this movie almost 35, 40 times in my life, maybe more, maybe 50 times. I don't know. It's a lot. I can recite this movie with dialogue, every scene, everything. I love this movie. I have this movie on Blu-ray. I have this movie on regular DVD. I have. It's just my absolute go-to movie. And the music, when the shark is coming along at the very start, it just gets you every time. It gets me every time. For me, it's my all-time, my GOAT movie is Jaws.
No, I'm with you.
I'm with you. That's a good one. I like that one a lot. So for me, if I'm watching, it's Friday. I'm watching Friday.
I
love that movie.
As much as part 1.
No, man.
Number 1 just for me, it trumps any and all. I mean, I love that movie. And you just can't go wrong with just throwing that movie on. You know what I mean? There's just nothing wrong with that movie at all. It's absolutely amazing. Those two together, Cube and Tucker together were. It doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah.
Then on top of that, the other, everybody else inside of the movie. I mean, that's an all-star cast. Right? Everybody in that movie is an all-star. You know what I mean? For them to be able to pull something like that off is insane. And the fact is, think about it, right? How much are they spending nowadays on these movies too, right? How much money do you spend on Friday, sitting outside in the neighborhood, just hanging out, just wasting away the day? You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. But the whole movie is a day in the life of a day.
A day.
It's
full
not
day.
A day,
One
a full day. It's just one
one
day.
day.
It's just one day.
Yeah, and it literally goes from morning and it ends up in the evening time when they have the big fight and all that stuff. But it's just one day.
Exactly.
And how
Exactly.
it's a simple premise. And basically, at times, like you said, Tucker and Cube sitting on the porch just talking, observing life, that type of thing. I mean, and you can't say this about a lot of comedies either. You can't go back and watch them again and again and again, and they're still funny.
Yeah.
Some you can,
Yeah.
but that is literally, and I love that movie. That's a great choice, but that's one of those movies you can go back and it's still just as funny.
Exactly.
In some ways,
Exactly.
because it's kind of relatable. And I mean, and I'm not saying, you know, is to where you grow up and stuff like that, but some of the problems you deal with, like girls and things like that, and guys getting bullied and stuff like that, and you dealing with these things, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And those are the things you
Yeah.
can relate to.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely,
Like I said,
absolutely.
on
And like
top
you
of
said,
that,
and
it's
on top of that, it's just
excuse me. It's
excuse me, it's hilarious,
Yeah.
right? The movie's just absolutely funny, too.
yeah, that's
yeah,
for me,
that's for
if
me.
I'm picking,
If I'm picking,
so
you know, so
sitting
if
down,
I'm
I
picking,
gotta
I'm
put
sitting down. I
movie.
gotta
It's
put on a
Friday.
movie. It's
Right
Friday,
off the bat.
Yeah.
right off the bat. I don't even have to think twice about it when I'm putting on.
Yeah.
For sure, on that.
Okay, so
Okay, so
we got your movie,
we
right?
got your movie, all right? We decided, you know what?
The night's still young.
The night's still young,
So we're gonna leave.
so we're gonna leave for a little bit.
Where are we going? What's
Where are we going?
goat
What's the
night
goat
event
night
that we're
event
going
that we're going to go do? If we're we got nothing else
We've ate our
left.
food.
We've ate our
watched our
food,
movie, but it's
watched
still
our
early
movie,
night,
but it's
we're
still
going
early
out.
night.
Where
We're
we
going out. Where are we going?
What's the
You're talking
goat-
about
What's the goat event?
This kind of is a two-sided thing here. Are we talking with families? Or are we talking about?
I'm just talking
Guys,
about.
I'm just talking about
anything-
just anything
you
in
just said,
like
I'm
you
getting
just
out
said.
the
I'm
house,
getting out the house.
and for something to do.
And
just
for
in the
something to
evening
do
time,
just in
where
the
am I
evening
going?
time,
can
where
do
am I
whatever
going? I
want.
can do whatever I
You know,
want.
but
It's
this is true, right? I'm old school with this. I always have been, and I'll tell you why. I love movies. You love movies, but I still love going to the theater. I really do. There's something about like, yeah, and you and I saw Jaws. You and I went to see Jaws on the big screen. So I use that as an example. You can see movies on your TV, and I know now they've got 800-inch TVs and stuff like that. So basically, you can kind of get the movie feel if you've got $8,000 or about $40,000, whatever they cost. But if you don't have that, to go see a movie at the theater, to me, it's just this killer experience. I know they're a little bit pricey now, and a lot of times you can stream them and all that stuff. But for me, folks, it's going to the theater, kicking back, whether you got your popcorn and your drink, depending on how much you can afford, and if you had to, put rent to the side because you want to go to the movies and buy some popcorn, that type of thing. But there's something about going to the movies. It's just the coolest experience for me. My wife really enjoys it. I think it's still a great date thing to do. And I know some people think it's kind of cliche. I think it's still pretty cool. I mean, it gives you something to talk about with the girl when you come out, conversation with the girl before the movie starts, that type of thing. If you go with your wife, you're still talking about what you saw.
Yeah.
And real quick, one of my greatest nights, Bud, as far as entertainment goes, is this. And this is crazy. So Southwest Plaza. You don't remember this. They used to have inside the mall, Bud, they had a theater. They had theaters inside that mall.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking years ago, right?
Yeah.
I go there one night, and this is before I'm not dating anybody. It was like a Sunday night, and I just want to get out and go do something. No football going on, that type of thing. So I go up to the thing, and I can remember one of the movies was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. This I remember. And I can't remember what the other one was, but here's the kicker. So I go up, I say, yeah, I'd like to get a ticket. So I buy the ticket, right? And I don't remember how many theaters they had. So she says, okay, well, she gives me a ticket. She says, enjoy your movies. And I said, what do you mean movies? She said, in your movies, it's a double feature. I said, what? She said, yeah, there's 2 movies. I said, you're kidding. For the price of one? She said, yeah. So I go in, right? And this is like at 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 7:45. I sit down, nobody in this theater, right? I'm thinking, okay, people arrive late. You've seen that. You've been there. Movie starts. I'm like, okay, so I guess people are getting here late, because these are new movies. But nobody shows up for the first movie. I have this entire theater to myself. So, and the movie ends. So I'm sitting there, lights come up briefly because it's intermission. I'm like, okay, so nobody showed for the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I get it. Maybe they'll show for this other one. Lights go down, but I sat through 2 movies, folks. A double feature in a theater all by myself for 2 movies. One of the coolest things ever. It's just like having your own home theater. It was beautiful. I couldn't believe it. It was the greatest night. One of the greatest movie nights ever.
Man,
you could have played that off too on the way out. Like if people were around, be like, yeah, you know, I bought the place out. Not crazy. Bought it out.
Why would they think?
Why would they think if they see you? There ain't nobody else come in. Like, man, that guy brought the whole thing out. You saying nobody come in?
2 trash movies to come go see it. No wonder nobody showed it. And they actually weren't that great, but it was cool.
No, that is.
That is pretty cool. No, I ain't been to a movie theater and I don't know how long. I think when we figured it out, and I don't remember exactly when the movie came out, but when the new It came out, I think that's the last movie I went to see in theaters. Oh yeah, that's in a long time. A long time since I've been to a movie theater. So that's definitely
quite a few movies too back in the day.
We used to go all the time. I remember I used to go a lot, and then when I was in high school and stuff too, like on weekends there would be a bunch of us that would get together and just be like, hey, let's all go watch a movie. And I think we ended up watching. I remember there was like, there might have been like 8 to 12 of us that went to go see that When a Stranger Calls Back or whatever, or When a Stranger Calls movie. And I'm surprised we didn't get kicked out of the damn freaking movie theater for that one, to be honest with you. But that was fun to do. But for me, you know, like I said, I haven't been to a movie theater, but now to be honest with you, if it's someplace that I'm going, Topgolf's our thing, man. Topgolf's just something so much fun for us, and especially for the whole family. Like you said, you brought up like the family thing or whatever, but for me, that's a lot of the stuff in there. And if I'm talking about what I'm gonna do right now, like, you know, I got my food, I got my movie, and it's Topgolf. The thing is just so much fun to do, man. It's great because of the atmosphere too. You know, where you're at, they treat you so well there. It's something fun and easy for the kids too. I mean, you can have so much fun with it. Also,
competition with the scores and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even though you're not great at, and you just watch everybody else. Nobody there goes there because you're great. You don't go to Topgolf because you know you're fighting for a PGA, you know, invite. It's there for fun. Nobody's good at it. You all just go have fun with it and you see what you can do, and that's the good part about it is. And then on top of it, you know, you're staying active. You're doing a little bit of exercise too while you're trying to get out and have fun with that.
Yeah, and I'll say this,
for me right now,
I'll say this real quick. His point about Topgolf, because I've been to the one he's talking about. It's up northern part of Denver, up around Thornton, whatever it is. But anyway, nothing better, folks. Summer night, breeze coming in. You got the Rockies off to your left. You know, sun going down. Hanging out like Bud's talking about with a little bit of food, your golf clubs, and your family or just some friends and stuff like that. And it's a cool time to get out. It's a fun thing to do. If you get a chance, wherever there's Topgolf, I know they're all over the country. If you get a chance, if you haven't done this, get out and do it. It's a blast. It's really a little pricey, but it's actually worth it if you can do it. So it's a lot of fun.
Definitely.
A lot of love.
Definitely.
And real quick, I got to say one more thing about the movies. Anthony and I went to a movie one night with his sister and this guy she went out with for the first time. We went to see The Hills Have Eyes. I think it was either the remake or it was part 2, and we crushed his sister's date because we would not stop talking. We would not stop making fun of the movie. His sister was getting pissed because we were killing this date.
I totally forgot about that.
I totally forgot
about that.
His sister was absolutely not pissed, but she was not thrilled with either one of them.
To be honest, though, we probably did her a favor. He probably wasn't the one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Probably did her a favor.
You're welcome, Andrea. All right, you're welcome.
Jesus.
Oh,
I'm sure she didn't think us then, but she probably is now.
It was awesome. I mean, Bud and I had a great time when we went to the movies. It was a blast. It was great. But yeah.
We did. There was a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that wasn't just movies. I mean, we did a whole lot of stuff. I mean, we went to Dave and Buster's. We did horseback riding.
Putt-putt too, didn't we? Did we ever do putt-putt?
We did a lot.
We did a lot. Yeah, we did putt-putt. I think we did like bumper cars and stuff too, and all kinds of stuff. We've had a lot of different things, and then obviously, one of the.
I guess we can call it
GOAT memories. I remember going to the Mile High Stadium before they closed it down and going in there.
Yeah, that was great.
And touring the whole place.
Yeah, me and your dad
got to go on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went to go on the field and everything like that. That was pretty great too.
Oh, that's one of my absolute awesome memories. But I mean, and like you said, like Anthony's talking about, you know, we've had great memories with just the two of us, with his dad, with his family, with all the collective families too, you know, and everything. But that was one of the big ones too, was going to the old Mile High Stadium. They let you go through the old lockers and things like that. And then you could walk out on the field, folks. And that's the first time I'd ever walked out into the field. Maybe Bud had, I couldn't recall, but that was the first time I had ever walked out into the field of an NFL stadium. And to see how big it actually was when you're actually walking on the field, it was kind of crazy. And it just almost like intimidating. But my highlight, and I think was for his dad too, was just to get out there and have a chance to throw footballs to this gentleman next to me, and you know, see him run into the end zone and throw him touchdown passes and stuff like that. It didn't get any better. I mean, that was an absolute top 10 GOAT memory right there.
Oh, we used to
be outside in the front yard just playing football all the time out there. I mean, run up and down that the grass in front of the house. Remember that time you got taken out by the branch?
Yeah,
we were playing football.
Right
after my dad went and got that saw and he cut that branch down.
And I twisted my ankle. We were playing one-on-one. I think his dad was the quarterback. I was trying to cover Bud, and I took a step wrong. You know, I thought I broke my ankle. I really did. But it was one of the worst pains I've ever had in my life. But yeah, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal memories. Getting a chance to go out with him and his sister and kind of show them how to drive a car. And actually not telling his mom and dad when I was doing it.
Yeah.
But did it safely, folks. Did it safely. Went into empty parking lots and weren't driving down the road, doing that type of thing. That came later. But those are just.
Hey.
Oh no,
we had a lot of. There was a lot of great times that we've had and things like that, and so much fun growing up and things like that that we were a part of, that we got to see and do and things like that. And
that's kind
of what I was going to kind of lead into, Mike. Is you got any like just
GOAT
memories of like playing sports, things like that. You know, obviously we're the sports guys. You know, we don't talk a lot about stuff that we do sports wise and what we played. You know, we kind of let you guys know a few things that we played a little bit of sports. I mean, we've never gone anything past the high school level and things like that. But we're huge fans of it also. Like, you know, maybe let us know some of the GOAT memories you have growing up, some GOAT high school sport memories, things like that.
Yeah, most definitely, folks, if you've got those out there. The one that always comes to mind, but I think I was seven or 8, right? Playing Little League Baseball. I was an okay hitter, and we all got to try pitching, but I was never good pitching. So eventually I wound up playing left field. Probably because the coach really felt like if I did the infield, I was going to cost us 8 runs. Anyway, so I'm out in left, and I could get bored, but standing out there because I mean it's baseball, so yeah, you got to be alert, you know. But let's get real, folks. Sometimes if you're in the outfield and you're an 8-year-old kid, your mind tends to wander, right? So we're out there, and I got two quick stories for you. I'm out there. This particular point in practice, I'm playing right field. This story will tell you why he shifted me over to left field. So I'm standing out there, and we're in practice, and we've been practicing for a while, and I'm starting to lose interest. This is in North Carolina, so it's a little bit warm, summertime humidity. And I'm really at this point thinking, man, this is just I'm just ready to go. So I hear the crack of the bat, right? And the coach, I hear the guy saying, heads. And I don't know what they're talking about. And so I look forward, and they're looking back at me, and at that split, and you know how things happen in split seconds, but I know now that the ball must be coming towards me. Well, I don't see it, and I'm panicking real quick. I'm not kidding you, folks. The ball hits me on the top of the head, bounces off and rolls behind me. And it takes me a second to figure out what's going on. You got to find the ball. And by that time, I think there's a guy at second. He scored. So obviously I screw up the whole play, got yelled at by the coach, this type of thing. Okay. So now we're playing actual games, right? We played I think at that time we played 2 preseason games is what you'd call them, right? Practice games before the season would start. So I'm in left field. We were up 2-1. They were batting bottom of the 9th. They had a runner on first and second, and the kid hitting was a really good hitter. And all I'm thinking is, please, please, I would give an entire lifetime of allowance, money earned, if this kid does not hit this ball in my direction. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you hit a home run. I don't care if you hit an inside the park home run. I don't care. Just don't hit this ball to me. Please don't do this. And I think the kid had a 3-2 count, I think. And I'm thinking, and I'm literally, folks, I'm sweating bullets here. I hear the crack of the bat. And I look up, and sure enough, this ball is coming right towards me. And I'm just like, oh, for crying out loud. And I can see, I look down real quick, and I can see they're already rounding the bases, right? And the kid, I mean, so I look up, and I see the ball coming. I literally, bud, I put the glove up in the air. I close my eyes.
Please catch it. Please catch it.
And I don't even look, and all I hear is the, and I pause for, and all I see, I look, I don't even look at my glove, right? I look ahead, and all my teammates are running towards me, and I'm thinking, oh crap, I think I just dropped the ball, and they're gonna beat my ass. I opened the glove, and the ball was in the glove. I actually, it's stuck in the glove.
So what you're saying is you were the Sandlot before the Sandlot.
I guess. I was the crap before the crap, really, man. But here's the kicker. Here's how it ends, folks. These kids put me up on their shoulders, carry me off the field, right? The only person that could come from my family was my grandma. My mom was working. My dad was out of the country in the Army. So we get to the sideline. The kids put me down. The only thing the coach says to me, no congratulations, great catch. The only thing he said to me, don't let it go to your head. And I never did. That's all I said. But that was my sports moment. That was my sport. And it was all, and literally, I was so terrified. I just put the glove up and I hoped everything worked out, and it did. It was no, practice paid off, folks. It was none of this stuff. It was just dumbass luck. But the coach, that's always said, don't let that go to your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you made the play. That's all that matters. That's really the most important part of it.
But I know I played one season, and the team was okay. I don't think we made the playoffs. I never had another play like that the entire season. An okay hitter. I bet you I was probably like maybe 180. I was like a Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
I was a Bob Uecker.
Yeah, I don't know why. I wasn't a great hitter. For me, I was more of I drew quite a bit of walks. Like I would get on base a lot because I draw a lot of walks and stuff. For the most part, I had a pretty okay eye, but sometimes I did strike out quite a bit. I know that growing up, I was I didn't work a lot on my hitting. And that's kind of a lot of the sports I played. I was more defense than anything. I focused more on the defensive side. When I played baseball and basketball, for sure, I was more of the defensive threat playing basketball, but baseball too. I mean, I was a second baseman for our high school team for the most part. I grew up playing anywhere on the infield. And I did play some outfield and stuff when it came to softball and stuff like that, but outfield never really suited me a whole lot. I mean, I didn't have a strong arm, for the outfield and stuff. That's why I usually stayed in the infield and stuff. But no, I mean, I don't have, I'm trying to
No,
think.
you gotta have. I know you have that one sports moment.
Well, no, I'm trying to say.
I was trying to think if I had I was trying to think about if I had a baseball moment, like an actual baseball one, but I don't really have a. I don't really have a baseball one. I mean, I do have some, like I have a great golf one because I hit one in. And the sucky part, this is just during practice. It was just a practice. We were just, out there, because our main course is the Indian Tree over there, like 72nd area, and we were just out hitting like I think we were like on the back nine. We actually did the big course for this practice, and I'm like maybe 130 yards out, maybe somewhere around there, 100, and. I want to say maybe I use a 9 iron or something, and I just remember that's
I just remember
when I swung my club.
It felt like
the most perfect swing I've ever swung in my entire. I mean, everything about it was perfect. Where you see it hit, to it leaving off the off the club and everything, and just watching it. And so
I remember
the funny thing was I remember watching it, and I just remember seeing it go, and it's landing, and the guy that was with us, he was. It's funny because he had just became a new coach for a assistant coach, so he was playing with us on the round. Because my coach was like, hey, because I was at that point in time I was the #1 golfer for the school, so he's like, he was like anything you can do for him. He was like. To help out with his swing, whatever he may need, go with him and see. That was the cool part is he was there and I hit it, and I remember it landing, and he was like, that looks really good. We kept watching it because where we were at, we could still see it, and then the ball just kind of disappeared, and we were like, he goes, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that's in the hole. I was like, nah, no way. And he's like, yeah. He's like, go get up there and see. And sure enough, I get up there and I couldn't find the ball. And he's like, I checked that hole. We went right up in there, and sure enough, it was in there, and that was one of the craziest things. I was like, I wish it would have been during a tournament, or would have been able to have somebody there to record that, because that was pretty spectacular. Considering golf wasn't my best sport or anything like that. I learned a lot from the guys that I played with out there. That's what got me to where I was at, being the #1 golfer for the school. I mean, it didn't say much. I mean, it's not like we had a huge or great golf team and stuff like that. I mean, I had a chance at state. I remember, this is the sucky part. It's not a GOAT memory, but I had a chance at state, which would have been my junior year, I believe is what it was. It would have been, yeah, because I don't think I golfed my senior, so it would have been my junior year. I had to shoot going into this tournament. I had to shoot I think it was a 90. I think I had to shoot like a 91 or 92 or less to qualify for state. And I was on pace to do it. I was literally on pace to do this. I was gonna go, and unfortunately, we're at the tee box on like hole. I'm gonna say it wasn't very much longer. It had to be hole like 14 or 15, right? And we're at the tee box. One of the other guys teeing off. I'm just standing there. All of a sudden, I just feel this amounts of pressure, like right where I bend my knee, basically in the back of there, behind where my knee is. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Well, I didn't want to make a noise because he's in his backswing. As soon as he hits it, I'm like, oh man! And they're like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. And as I look down, I see a bee. So I've gotten stung. I got stung by a bee. Granted, at this point in time, I've never been stung. So I have in my entire life. So I have no idea. Excuse me, if I have any type of reaction to it, if I'm allergic, nothing like that. Luckily, I believe it was an Inglewood coach. He was also like he used to be a nurse at one point in time. So they called him over. He's like, asking me all these questions, how I feel, this and that. I was like, no. And he looked at it. He's like, yeah, it's gonna suck. Well, the sucky part is where that's at. It's right where the knee bends. So anybody knowing how when you're golfing, you're bending the knees, you're going to. I mean, it just hurt so bad that hole that we hit on, I ended up shooting like an 8 or 9 on that hole. I went like a 6 or 7 on the next hole. I mean, I ended up shooting. I think after I finished, I shot like a 96 or 95 or something like that for the whole round, and I was on pace to go to state. And I was so upset because I was like, had I not gotten stung, I might have made it to state. And this isn't saying anything, guys. Trust me. I mean, these guys that go to state are crazy great. I mean, these guys have scholarship offers. It's just the fact of saying that you can make it, especially for our school, as small as we were, to be able to say. And somebody like myself, that would have been a huge accomplishment for me to be able to say, man, just to get there and say I was able to make it, would have been a great thing for myself and for our school. That was the other thing that was that really angered me about it. So it's not a GOAT memory I'd say for state, but it is kind of goatish to the point where it would have been nice if I would have made it for our school, because that kind of would have been a goated thing to say. We're sending another golfer to state, because Pablo, who was there, he was a tremendous golfer. This guy shot around the 80s for us when I was there.
And he did go to state.
And he did go to state, but to also say to add another person there would have been great for me, and to actually say that, because I did get to miss out on state. See, that's the thing. I have a lot of stories, but they're never great ones. That's I like the basketball not going to state story because of Bird getting blocked by the rim on his dunk and stuff like that. I didn't get to go to state for basketball, which we could have made, but. The golf one's a great story for me. I absolutely love that.
Nice shot you made too. That's still a nice story too. But that's I mean, not everybody can see that.
That's a great one for sure. I'm trying to think of some other ones here. I mean, the softball, man, we had so many fun. I remember we were going in. This was
the game to
go to the championship, or it was either like
to try to
get to the championship.
I'm coming up in softball,
and I'm on deck, so I'm like, I gotta see. I was like, if I get up,
it's gonna come down to me.
It's gonna come down to me to win the game. Well, it's hilarious because
I mean, all of us
when we go play tournament ball, I mean, most of the time, I mean, unless you're just brand new to the game, I mean, everybody kind of knows everybody's tendencies out there. They know if you're coming up to bat, where you're gonna hit, where you're gonna try to put the ball, this and that. So I do remember it was kind of funny playing.
I'm
coming up to bat, and all I remember is everybody knows to me, move everybody to the right side of the field. He pushes the ball, he turns his body, he's trying to hit it down first baseline in between first and second. And all I remember was saying to myself,
that's not all I do.
That's not all I do. I love doing it, but that's not all I do. And I told him, I was like, they left the middle wide open for me. And I told him, I was like, and I tell a lot of people this, I was like, it's funny when it comes to softball. It's one of those things where if it comes down to it, if you're trying to win, and if it's a championship game, it's a championship for the most part, because a lot of stuff's frowned upon. But I'm hitting middle. If it's a championship game and the game's on the line, I'm hitting middle. If your pitcher's good enough to stop it and throw me out, then so be it. Then I'll tip my hat to you, and good game's over. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to when you hit middle. And sure enough, this team, they decided moving everybody over. We're gonna play his push, and everybody's gonna. And sure enough, that pitcher, he left one.
He tried to throw it outside.
Because he knew he wanted it to, but he just left it curved enough to come over the middle. Laced it right up the middle, past everybody. And I told him, I was like, and it was hilarious because there was actually a buddy of mine that was playing for the other team at the time. He was the one trying to tell everybody, you got to play the push. Told him, I was like, don't ever try to do that to me again. I'm not gonna put it there. I'm not. And that it's just those kind of fun things to do. Because for me, I'm not a power hitter when it comes to softball. I am not a power hitter whatsoever. I don't go yard. I try to place the ball wherever the fielders aren't, and that's kind of where my game is. I got to get back into it a little bit more. Though, like I said, I haven't played a lot. I was so tired Friday playing. Last night, I should say. So I got to get back into shape. I got to get back into this for sure. But this was great, Mike. I mean, I think it was fun to be able to talk about a lot of our GOAT stuff. Guys, please in the chat, let us know a lot of your GOAT stories. Let us know about some of the stuff we talked about. Definitely get into this basketball one. How you guys felt about the list that we talk about. If you guys thought that list was insane, or let us know your facts on as why maybe that isn't as insane to look at, right? If you guys agree with that, give us your facts about it too. We don't mind going back and forth with it. Mike and I, like we talked about, we'll try to maybe come up with a date and time of a good conversation to get a little bit more in depth about this LeBron and Jordan conversation, because we haven't gone as in depth that we normally do about it and talk a little bit more than like most people do.
So we'll
get into that a little bit more, and we'll come up with a good time when we could do it. Maybe it'll be next week. Who knows? That's something that we'll figure it out and talk about. But this is great. It was fun to talk about stuff. It's nice to be able to just have your own preference and kind of get what somebody else enjoys doing. It's what do you really like? What's fun to you? What do you enjoy eating? Like I said, bringing up the start. If you're sitting at home, what people think about what does Mike do at home? What does he throw on? Oh, that's right. He said he likes to eat this while he's watching this movie, right? So it's a good topic for us today for sure, Mike.
Yeah, and it is. It's all about memories too, folks. I mean, as you see tonight, Anthony and I talk about different things aside from the sports part of it. Let me just start talking about these GOAT things that we did back when we were younger, or still do, obviously, those are the impact of things that carry with you. And a lot of times you don't forget them. You just remember how good they were. If by chance you don't still do some of them, obviously like with me in the mountain doing that type of thing. But, they're just feel good moments, and they make us smile. And it's even cooler when you're talking to somebody, you shared some of those moments, those memories with, and that kind of thing. Because, at some point in life, you don't make too many new memories, but you've got hopefully a lot of old ones to fall back on and just remember how cool they were. So that's what these lists are about sometimes, is just, falling back and thinking and reminding yourself of that really cool moment, that great moment when you did something on your own or with somebody else. It's absolutely the coolest feeling in the world, and who knows, maybe, and I think we're always talking about different things. Maybe we'll do a part two with this. I mean, we didn't touch on everything that we consider to be GOAT this and GOAT that. So there might be a part two to this. So we'll just keep you, updated.
Definitely, for sure.
Definitely,
guys.
for sure,
Once
guys.
Again, thank you
Once
guys
again,
for
thank you guys
tuning
for tuning in.
Leave us
Notes in the comments about how you guys enjoyed the episode, things like that. Let us know what else we can talk about, guys. I mean, I know we're kind of we got some other things that we need to get into. Obviously, NBA Finals
are
underway. Obviously, the Celtics took Game 1, won by 18 against Luka and the Mavs.
Stanley Cup's underway.
Stanley Cup's underway. I'm still not too worried, Mike, about this Mavs situation for them. I think they'll find a way to bounce back. In my opinion, obviously, you've touched a little bit on the hockey with the Stanley Cup, Edmonton, Florida going on. That should be a pretty good series too. Baseball's kind of getting kicked in. A lot of stuff kind of changing a lot in baseball too. Another thing we might get into is I've seen that there's been just a lot of brawls, a lot of just altercations, I guess I should say, in baseball recently. That might be something we touch on a little bit more and kind of dive in a little bit more as to what's kind of going on in the world of sports and even baseball now, where we're seeing a whole bunch more of this crazy.
Yeah, and talking about brawls real quick, I was kind of bummed because I was actually, of all things, folks, and Anthony and I hadn't talked about this, but I actually had a curiosity about the Mike Tyson Paul, fight that they were gonna, I don't know, call it exhibition, whatever. But you got to have a curiosity. I do anyway. It's Tyson.
Did they postpone that because he has an ulcer?
Yeah, it's going to go up in October now, so it's just they kicked it back a bit.
That just proves right there, Mike. Just maybe we shouldn't. We're postponing for an ulcer. How old are we getting, man? And don't get me wrong, I want to see Tyson win it. I love Tyson. So I want to see him win it, but at the same time, it's like, dude, I mean, we're postponing for an ulcer.
That's like that time the Nugget player wouldn't come off the bench because he had a hangnail. No, true story, folks. So that's that kind of thing. Exactly. But yeah, I was kind of surprised too when Tyson dropped the ulcer, or his group top. They dropped the ulcer story, and I was like, man, that's a first. I don't recall too many boxer stories about ulcers and things like that, but. We'll see what happens. Maybe they never do it, but if it looks like it could be, marginally entertaining, I could still look in and see it come October, and just to see if Tyson's still got a couple of uppercuts left in him to drop a guy like.
It should be interesting. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Sounds good, guys.
Sounds good, guys. Like I said, once again, thank you for tuning in. Another fun Saturday night. We will be back again next week. So tune in Saturday, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. Once again, like I said, thank you guys again for all that you do. Everybody, please, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Hit that like button. It helps us a lot more than you guys think, for sure. Anything else, Mike, that you'd like to leave us with?
This is always, folks. It's been a thrill, been a pleasure. And there's double that with the person next to me. Just the biggest thrill with this is obviously getting to share, thoughts and stories with you folks, but it's also getting a chance to share it with my godson, this gentleman next to me. It's just every time we do something, it's special for me. But as I always like to say, and I always mean it sincerely, everything you see, folks, with what you're watching tonight, stats, video, presentation, sound, does not happen without this gentleman next to me. His brilliance, his insight, his creativity, every time we do this show are on full display. He's just incredibly talented, and it's just an absolute pleasure, thrill, honor for me to get a chance to do this with him, every week. And so to you, sir, I tip my hat.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Same to you. It's been great. It's been so much fun doing this, guys. We look forward to this like we tell you guys every single week. I know you guys probably get tired of it, but we do. We look forward to this every single week that we can get on with you guys. So once again, please leave us the feedback that we can. Let us know if there's anything you guys like to talk about. But other than that, guys, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good week and stay safe out there, people.
Good night, folks.